We all heard about how social media can increase your depressive and anxiety symptoms. So, I need to make a confession here. I can't relate to it. I understand it, but it quite never happened to me. Because from my own experience, social media actually decreased my depressive and anxiety symptoms. And I believe that it happens because of how I use social media. And today I'm going to share with you how. So I firstly used social media when I was 13 as a way to connect with my friends. We were going to different schools when we turned 13, so I made a Facebook account to stay connected with them. And that's it. Among other things. I don't think any one of us want to comment about how we use social media at the age of 13. Ha. But genuinely, I really like watching their updates, even though it was nothing much, like they take the food of what they eat, they go to certain places, they may update something like, I'm bored, I'm sad, that kind of stuff. In addition, I also use my Facebook account to check Facebook pages of the people and artists that I like. I remember the top two being Wonder Girls and Ain Maisara. Like, I would go there like every time I logged in Facebook. Every time. But I never liked the pages. Why? Because despite me liking them, I actually don't want their posts to appear on my feed. Because that's where my friends at. Yeah, I'd rather go to the page manually every day to check on them, as long as they don't interrupt with my friend feed. So that's how I've been using social media. Even after I made Twitter and Instagram account when I was 17, I still use it that way, just to connect with friends, strictly for friends. And when I want to check out, artists or famous people, I'll go manually to check them. Until 2017, when I decided to make YouTube videos and produce content in general. I've mentioned before in my blog post that I launched it actually when I was still in my depressive state. Because I had planned it way earlier and I was hyped enough to launch it at that moment. So a side note here, proper planning can actually make you do actions despite your mental state. It can actually win over your mental state. So yeah, planning never fails. Back to the story, in order to realizing that dream, I made a second account. All over Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The one you're seeing right now. And I utilized that account not to just post my own stuff, but to actually follow those people that I've been wanting to follow for a long time, but I restricted myself from doing so. I remember the earliest one that I followed are Gary Vee, Prince EA, Jay Shetty, and then I also follow Muslim artists like Khalid Siddiq, Mona Haidar, Omar Issa, and of course Malaysian figures like Aiman Bana, I'm Azlan, I'm a psychologist. That's a lot of Aiman. I guess that is a common name in Malaysia. So starting from there, I have double timeline to check. And later on, I started to hang out more on my Kelly Telly timeline than my private timeline. Why? Well, when I go to my private one, I see, memes, jokes, updates that they're fun, but not necessarily need to know. But then when I go to Kelly Telly's timeline, I see all of these people producing a content, talking about motivation, wisdom, knowledge, and purpose. I see this very beautiful realm, which what I can conclude in this word, personal growth. Keep in mind, again, that I was still in my depressive state when I started Kelly Telly. There was a time, about 3 months after I've launched all of this, of me not posting anything at all, if not less. Because that time was kind of like a slump. I didn't feel any motivation to post anything at all. But as I didn't post anything, I was actually indulging myself in this brand new timeline that I got. In other words, though I'm not making any actions, I was actually building up strength, consuming this type of content. And for once in my almost 2 years of battling my mental state, I saw a light out of personal growth. So in a sense, to be more exact, rather than social media, it was actually personal growth that brought me out of the gutter. But all of those would never happen if I never started to make videos and content online. They would never happen at all if I had not opened this second account and follow all the people that I know now. So that is how you do it. Well, technically, that is how I do it. That is how social media improves my mental health, by having 2 accounts. Very simple, right? But not just any accounts. The first account is the personal and private account, strictly only for the people that I know. And even if someone that I do know send me a follow request, I would actually invest my time to think that whether do I need to follow back. So when I go into the timeline of that account, I have this mindset of catching up with my friends and actually seeing and monitoring my friends' progress. This is what I believe that prevented me from thinking the immediate negative thoughts in the first place, like being jealous or feel inferior because of you comparing yourself with your friends. Because that may be our first feeling out of instinct when we see people with success, whether they're our friends or not. So when I do scroll with that purpose, with that mindset, it automatically blocks away those negative immediate thoughts. The second account is the public account, where I present myself, where I follow people who are relevant to me and those who I believe will inspire me to do better, where I allow myself to actually be influenced by the contents because I know who and what I follow. So that is my mindset and my purpose for the second account. And a very good bonus of having this second account is it can act as your resume and portfolio, because I've heard about people being afraid of not getting hired or getting fired because of bad things that they post online. I mean, you shouldn't be posting bad things anyway, but by having 2 accounts where one is private, you can avoid getting caught. And I don't mean this in a sneaky way. That's why I say you need to make it private, because it's for privacy. So you can enjoy the social media with your own privacy, with your own friends. Be all goofy, weird, and expressive there, because technically there is where you and your friends hang out. What you need to do is to take care and utilize your second account. I'm not saying you need to produce content too, but here is where you portray your ideal self and be the best that you can be. This is where you show your talents, your achievements, your capabilities. And this is where you can network with people who can bring you opportunities. I mean, it's a literally social networking app. For example, I'm now learning psychology, so I follow a lot of psychology related accounts. I also post things related to psychology, especially the things that I personally do, like maybe I go to an event talking about stigma of mental disorders, for example, or maybe I've won an essay competition talking about the importance of psychology. And I'm not afraid to brag here because I know it will actually bring me to more opportunities. As a result, people who come to this particular account can immediately read me as someone who's learning psychology, interested in psychology, and having that ability to actually express my thoughts and opinions, both in video type and writing. With that being said, I'm not posting this specifically to brag. It's just a common sense of mine. Like, though I'm happy using social media, I'm not happy seeing people not happy using social media. You get it, right? So I just want to share what I did so it can help people who are not happy with their social media. So thank you for watching. Hopefully this will benefit you. I really hope it does. So thank you, goodbye, and may all of us use social media more healthily.